So it was during the summer of 1997 when I first walked into my brother's popcorn shop on Chicago's Navy Pier. And he wasn't there at the time, but it didn't stop me from walking behind the counter and checking out all the popcorn flavors. And I saw this flavor, macadamia butter crunch, and it looked really interesting. So I grabbed a scoop off the counter and I scooped out a handful and I put it in my hand. The girl behind the counter kind of looked at me like, "Can I help you?" I said, "Oh, don't worry about it. I'm Chris's brother." And I was walking out of the store popping a few kernels in my mouth, and she kind of shot me a look. And I got 3 steps out of the store, and I literally stopped in my tracks. I just couldn't believe how good it was. And whatever I was thinking about was long gone. And I just found myself in this moment of joy. And I remember looking back at the store and thinking, I am definitely going to sell that stuff. And what I didn't know at the time was that I'd spend the next 20 years of my life trying to recreate the moment that I just experienced. So my brother had licensed this concept and name from a company in California, and they had a dozen retail stores. And when I went back about a year later, it was September of '98, I learned that the company had gone bankrupt. And I was able to acquire this cassette tape, this backup cassette tape named Thursday, and for $2,600, which I didn't have at the time, but borrowed from my brother. And what I found in this cassette tape was several hundred companies that was using Popcorn Palace to send out their holiday gifts. And so I called up all these companies, and their first response was, "What are you talking about? You guys went bankrupt." But over time, I was able to acquire about 50 of these companies for $110,000 in sales. And so we made all the product at my brother's store overnight, and we transported it to this small warehouse in Indiana, and we packaged up all these orders. And by the end of the holiday season in 1998, we had a little bit of supplies left over, and I put them in storage because our lease was up. And I was really left with the question, is this a business? And so shortly after that, I was really just trying to get the product anywhere and everywhere. And shortly after that, started an e-commerce site and started selling to larger retailers. And we also offered our product as a fundraiser to organizations. And so after several years, 4 or 5 years, we had grown to several millions of dollars in sales. And about half of our business was with larger retailers. Like we drop ship for FTD.com, similar to 800 Flowers. And I would go on QVC every month and sell our popcorn on air on QVC. And we would, Costco was a big account of ours. And the business was growing. And I really thought at that time, this is how we're going to grow the business. However, that big business really started to wear on me. And the first instance was about our third year. We did about $400,000 that year, and we got caught up in Fannie Mae Candies, a chocolate company in Chicago, a couple hundred stores, and we got caught up in their bankruptcy. And we got stiffed for invoices of $140,000. And it started out with we'd get 25%, then we get 20, then we get 10, and we ended up getting nothing. And I think I went about 18 months without paying myself any money after that. And then the QVC business, it was really exciting. I mean, initially, and going on air and being in front of millions of people and being live. However, that business became quite a burden over time. And they would call on Monday and say, "We want you in Westchester, Pennsylvania on Thursday." And I might have a great 3 o'clock or 5 o'clock airing, or I might have a 1 a.m. or 2 a.m. airing. And it really was demanding on me through our production into a tizzy. It was really tough to manage our inventory. We ended up having to have them warehouse product. And we were about creating joy with our product, and it started to feel like it wasn't really doing that. And things came to a head with, we had just done a shipment to the 48, at the time, Midwestern Costco's. And about 2 weeks after the shipment, I got a call from the buyer, and she immediately just started yelling at me. And the problem was that one of their 5 stores in Detroit wasn't hitting the numbers that she was expecting. And I was just scratching my head like, okay. And while I was on the phone with her, someone had put mail on my desk, and I noticed that there was a letter on top, and I could see it was hanging out, and there's different color writings on there. And this is not the actual letter, but it's my best recreation of it. And the letter read, almost verbatim, "Dear Mr. Heitmann, thank you for having your Popcorn Palace fundraising program. I was able to raise $300 and fly from Seattle, Washington to Washington, D.C. for a band competition. I love Popcorn Palace. P.S. Can you send my 5th grade class free popcorn?" And I read this literally 30 seconds after hanging up the phone with Costco, and I thought, Costco or helping kids do what they love? And literally the next week, this was a very small channel for us, maybe 2 or 3% of our sales at the time, but we just started putting more resources into it and investing more in it. It was really funny because it was the first thing that didn't seem so hard. It was just working, and the investment we were putting in was working. And so that was the last order we ever did with Costco. And within the next year, also said goodbye to QVC. And so as we started investing in this fundraising channel, we learned a couple things. Number one was that our product was, we couldn't create the experience that we wanted for people by having it sit in distribution centers or having it sit on store shelves. And so what we realized was to really recreate the experience that I wanted, we needed to pop it, cook it, package it, and ship it out within 24 to 48 hours. All 14 to 16 of the flavors we were making. The other thing we realized is that after doing that, we needed to get it into the consumer's hands within 1 week of being made. And so the problem is that when we looked at, and that was the lens that we decided we were going to use to who we were going to sell our product to. And the problem is that a lot of our current customers didn't fit into that lens. And so, that was the last Costco order we did. And we were faced with this very difficult decision that we needed to, if we were going to live by that, we needed to say goodbye to some of our customers. And so within the next year, I did my last showing on QVC, and as the years went by, we slowly started saying goodbye to the companies that didn't fit into this model or this view. And we'd say goodbye to a company, and because we were focusing on this fundraising channel, it started growing more. And we would do more business here, and then we'd say goodbye to another company. And after about a couple years, we had said goodbye to all of our wholesale business, and we were really left with this fundraising channel, and we were left with our e-commerce site and our corporate gifting. And that letter that I got, it wasn't the only letter. We started getting many more letters and many more messages and emails. And what we realized is that the reason we were successful in this market is because, we were in this channel, there wasn't a lot of innovation, and there was a lot of products that were either average or below average. And we were bringing a premium product into the channel, and we were giving our customers 50%. And other companies were maybe giving 25 to 35%. And then we were also those other companies they might be selling it at retail, and then they would mark it up for their fundraising channel. And so we had the exact same price, whether you bought it on our website or whether you sold it through our fundraising channel. And so what happened was there was this value that our customers felt they were getting, and for the first time, they weren't running away when someone was asking them to buy through a fundraiser. They're actually asking them, when are you going to run this next popcorn fundraiser? And so this is just a quote that we have up on the wall, and we started to get more and more. And what happened was this became part of our culture. We were no longer just about creating joy with people eating our product. We were we were really helping people. We were creating joy with what they were doing with our product. And so we had this fundraising channel, and it became part of our culture, and it's what we talked about all the time. But then we had these two other channels. We had our e-commerce site, and we had our gifting site. And it began to frustrate me because they had no idea what we were really all about. They didn't, all these things that we talked about and what was really what we were all about, they didn't know. And so I started to think, well, could we connect them somehow by giving 10 or 20% of these sales to the organizations we're helping? And then thought, great idea. Well, how about we're giving 50% to those? What if we gave 50% of these to some sort of cause and let the customer pick what sort of cause they wanted to give to? And immediately after I did the numbers, I was like, no freaking way. There's no way we can do that. That is just way too much money. And so I just put the idea off on the side. And another year went by, and we grew our fundraising channel more, and the frustration grew more too. And it began to feel somewhat inauthentic. We were really fully embracing this. We were really creating joy by helping people raise money. And so went back and looked at it and felt like we could do this and survive. And, the fact that we can now say that 50% of everything we sell goes to a nonprofit or a cause, maybe that can turn into something. And so January of 2016 announced the entire company that within 1 year, everything that we sold was either going to help a nonprofit organization or go to a charity. And my vision for this was quite simple. It was just we were going to put something in the shopping cart that said what we did, and then give the person an opportunity to pick what charity they wanted to go to. And Mark, my head of marketing, was like, whoa, Tim, this is a great opportunity. See, we have this really great product, and now we have this great cause, but our packaging is pretty outdated. This is a great time to rebrand. And so I said, okay, let's rebrand. And during that process of 2016 of the rebranding, the question kept coming up, is Popcorn Palace the best name for us to move forward with? Does it truly tell our story? And what we kept coming back to was we have this product that, when we thought about it from our customer's viewpoint, we thought we have this product that people, they get something good. And now they can also do something good. And that's a double good. And so we decided to change the name of the company to Double Good. And through the rebranding process, the idea was, let's create each flavor, let's make its own unique artwork. And once we got to this point, we really fell in love with it. I mean, we loved the name, we loved the packaging, we loved the cause, and we loved it so much that we also changed all the flavor names. And so we couldn't wait to get this launched, and right on time in January of 2017, we launched this new brand with the new model. And about approaching the halfway point on the year, we were late May, approaching June, a little over a year ago, we were looking at this. The e-commerce channel and the gifting channel was down 47%, almost 50%. And our core channel was down 20%. And now, so these two channels that were smaller were down 50%, and we were giving 50% of that away after that. And this channel, we were expecting to grow 20%, and was down 20%. Now, the other thing that was going on at this time was we were trying to digitalize this brochure process and have an online solution for our customers. And we were investing very heavily in engineers, designers, QA, product managers. And as you can imagine, cash was just bleeding out of the company. And the harder thing was, and the more depressing thing was the psychological effect, because up until that point, we had 18 consecutive years of revenue growth. And when you look at the month over month, we had only 6 or 7 months that we didn't have growth month over month. So it was this very, very consistent growth that was occurring. And now this is very different. And, I wasn't, at this point, I was pretty scared about the business, and I wasn't really sure about a whole lot, but there was one thing that I was absolutely certain about, that I could write a pretty good book on how to ruin a great business in just 5 months. I knew I could do that if all else failed. And so during this time, we started engaging more with our customers. We made hundreds and hundreds of calls to customers. And you may be sitting there saying, Tim, come on, this is obvious, but we really confused people. And we were really good at talking to the customers that made the decision to use us, like the organizers or the coordinators. But we failed to look at the perspective of the end customer and the buyer. And I said that we were in love with this, and I guess love is blind and stupid sometimes, and we were definitely both of those things. And the other thing to prove that point, the other thing we did was the brochure. So we didn't have any salespeople. That brochure was where all the sales came from. And the year before it generated was responsible for over $20 million worth of popcorn sales. And we also changed everything on the brochure. It looked nothing like the previous year. And so, for example, we had a lot of great celebrity quotes, like Warren Buffett had our product and wrote me a note that said, Tim, your popcorn is AAA plus, take it from me, an expert. We'd done several Food Network shows, and Rachel Ray had a great quote for us. And we had this quote from the Chicago Tribune that said, this is the most awesome snack we ever tried. And we had that in all the corners of the brochure. And our view at the time, I'm almost embarrassed to admit this, but we felt like we arrived. We had this great product, we had this great cause, and we finally had the great packaging that we always wanted. And we looked at those things as crutches. Those are things that when you can't stand on your own 2 feet, you need, and we don't need those anymore. And so, I had said how we were investing heavily in technology and with very little to show for it. And right at this time, it was the very beginning of June of last year when I was really, really concerned about the future of the business. The one thing we were doing on technology side is we were iterating very quickly, and we were experimenting a lot. And we got lucky and hit on a few things, and this business just rocketed in the middle of June, and it finished June with doing over $1 million that month. And that momentum continued through the year, and while those other channels were still deep in the red, the success of this channel allowed us to actually squeak out a minuscule gain for our 19th consecutive year of growth. And then, just like clockwork, when 2017 everything was going down, 2018 everything started going up. And what happened in this channel was we knew we had to get away from free shipping and offers and paid customer acquisition because it just couldn't work with that model. And so we knew we wanted to do leverage social media and develop relationships with the press. And that stuff started taking hold at the end of the 2017, and it really drove the growth in 2018 so far. And this channel, too, recovered just in 2018. It started going up and has increased every month as we've gone. And what happened here was those people we confused, they still bought. They just bought a lot less. And what we found, the questions they were asking was, is this the same company? Is this the same product? Is this the same amount? And once they went through the cycle of ordering it and then getting it, they realized it was, and then their purchasing patterns returned to normal. Now the recovery was great, and it was a huge relief. However, the most profound impact to the company has been the work we've done with charities. And what started out as us doing, giving to several different charities and giving the customer the choice of what they're going to select, we ended up supporting one cause, and that cause is to help make sports and extracurricular activities more accessible to kids with disabilities and special needs. And it's something that really aligned with the company, the people in the company, and our customers. And so we do that through the Double Good Kids Foundation. And what's so surprising to me is how many partnerships we've developed over just the last 9 or 10 months since we've had this, and the impact that they've generated. So, for example, we host dance instructors at our studio for a 2-day event, and we partner with RhythmWorks Integrated Dance and Dylan's Wings of Change. And these are dance instructors that they may be our customers, they may not be our customers, but they want to offer, they want to include kids with disabilities or special needs in their classes. They just don't have the education to do it and the know-how. And so what RhythmWorks does is they'll take the movement or the development that the child needs. Like, say a child needs to learn to walk up the stairs. They'll take that movement and they'll incorporate it into dance movements. And between the music and the movement, more neural connections are created faster and they learn a lot faster. And so RhythmWorks, the first day they go through a RhythmWorks class, and then the second day we have Dylan's Wings of Change. And Dylan's Wings of Change, it was created by Ian Hockley. His son, 6 years old, had autism and was killed in the Sandy Hook school shooting in Connecticut. And he created this foundation. And what Dylan's Wings of Change is all about is creating inclusiveness. And so the first day is about them learning how to choreograph dance movements to allow these kids to participate. And the second day is about promoting an environment of inclusiveness and being able to teach that to their students. And so these dance instructors leave with now the ability to include kids with disabilities into their class, and we follow them into their community, and we've seen the impact, and most of them have started these programs. And so
September of last year, we started a kids foundation called the Double Good Kids Foundation, and we've really oriented ourselves to try and provide 3 things, education, equipment, and experiences for kids with special needs so that they can participate in extracurricular activities.
The fact they've dedicated it to helping the disadvantaged children with special needs in those areas is absolutely perfect. I think those are areas these days that are being starved of funding. But if you're a family of a kid with special needs, it's an absolutely must-have.
As you come to our website and you buy popcorn, we're going to donate 50 cents of every dollar. It's important to pause on that for a second, because it's not 50 cents of profits, it's 50 cents of every dollar. So if you bought something that was $20, we're going to take $10 and we're going to put that into the Double Good Kids Foundation.
And just imagine if all businesses started making a difference in the world, we'd probably really change the world in a significant way. It's businesses that are really going to change the world. And I think Double Good's going to be one of them.
So I'm as surprised as anyone to where this company started and where we are today. And the one thing that I can say is that all of the decisions that were made, really, there's never a grand vision. I think you can see that from my 20 years squeezed into 20 minutes presentation. There's never any sort of grand vision. It's just that all the decisions, even when we got off track, they came from the same place. So, how we wanted to make the product, and if I talk to you more about the equipment we purchase and how we've customized it, and the whole supply chain down to the plot of land that we have that our kernels are grown, to where we want to sell the product, where we don't want to sell the product, and the changes with the branding and the naming and the work what the foundation has evolved into. It's all really expressions of the same thing, and it's a tree with the same tree, the same roots, and different branches and new branches that have grown. And if I had another 20 minutes to talk to you, I'd probably talk about the branch where we try to do this with our team members. But it'll be interesting to see how big this tree can grow and what other branches can grow from it. So thank you for listening today.